So today's lesson, today's tutorial is going to be on color correction. Color correction is a whole lot more than what we're going to be doing today, but this is a good starting point. So what we're going to be focusing on today is how to take our footage from log to Rec 709, or taking a log image to look like a Rec 709. For those of you who don't understand what I'm talking about, how we're going to take an image that looks like this and we're going to be making it look like this. Now, as a brief quick introduction, why do we even have an image looking like this? Why is log even a thing? Why don't we just record in Rec 709 like this? When you shoot in log like this, you get a lot more information in your footage. We call it dynamic range. The more dynamic range you can get from shooting, the better. If they had shot like this, you see those really bright spots there, they probably would be gone completely. Like we won't be able to see any texture. But the fact that they shot in log, you can see there's still some bits of information there and behind her and all of that. So just to get that out of the way. So there are two ways to go about this, which is what I already kind of like said. I mentioned we either take the log color space and convert it into Rec 709 color space, or we just color correct it to look like it. What that means is one process is a lot more mathematical and technical, while the other process is a lot more artistic, if you want to call it that. So we're going to start with the mathematical and scientific, and whichever word you want to use to describe it. So the first piece of information that would always help when it comes to color correcting an image, especially if we want to do it the proper way, if we want to do it the scientific or the mathematical way, is we want to know the camera system that it was shot on and the color space that it was shot on. For this our footage, we happen to know that this was shot on the Arri Alexa. You can see the information right there. By the way, this footage was given to us by AFDA Film School. I don't know who they are, but yeah, it's free on YouTube. So this footage was shot with the Arri Alexa, and it was shot in the color space of log C. So log C is the log of Arri. Blackmagic has its own log. Canon has its own log. They have C-Log, C-Log 2, C-Log 3. Sony is S-Log. Nikon or Nikon is N-Log. Panasonic is V-Log. Don't ask me where they got the V from. Now, the mathematical way of going about this is that every camera brand has what they call a conversion, or some people would call it a utility lot. Now, these lots are usually free. It's the brand, they made the camera, so they will provide the lot. These lots are designed to take the footage, the log color space, and convert it into Rec 709. Where would you get this log? Just go on their website or just do a quick Google search. You would see it everywhere. In this case, like I said, we're using the Arri Alexa and it is the log C. The cool thing about Arri, Premiere Pro actually has the utility lot for the Arri Alexa as a preset. Already is a lot already part of Premiere Pro. So if we come to our Lumetri color panel right here, the first one, in case it's not open, we have basic. We have come to this first one right here. You see import lot. Just click it, and if you scroll down right there, Alexa default log C to Rec 709. Right there, simple. And once we click it, bam, we're already halfway there. All right, that's the job of a utility lot. If you notice, it's a little bit green. That's a characteristics of the Arri line. The footage tends to be a little bit more green, so it's to be expected. So we will correct for that. But just before we do that, in the event and in the likely event that you might not be working with Arri footage, I happen to have another footage here that was shot with the Panasonic Ava 1, and it was shot with the log profile of Panasonic, which is V-Log. But if we were to come to import lots, nothing on V-Log is here. A quick Google search and I already have, and this is Panasonic's page. Like I'm doing here now, I'm on their website and I've seen, okay, so what I'm about to download now is V-Log to V709. So I'm just going to go ahead and download it. So I have downloaded a lot. So I'm back here. I'm just going to come back to this same import lot, but rather than look for it here, I'm just going to say browse, and I'm going to go to where I downloaded that one. 7, just going to open that up, and right here, dot cube. So let's try that and see if it does what we expect it to do. Now, as you can see, there's definitely a difference. So I'll just click this now. This was before, this was after. All right, just by using the utility loss. Now, of course, as you can see, in neither of these two cases is this final. It just takes us like 50 to 60 to 70% of the way there. We still need to make some changes. In the case of the Alexa, the contrast seems to be fine. For those of you who are wondering what I mean by contrast, I'm just going to take this contrast down now and just play with it so that you understand what I mean by contrast. So this is me increasing the contrast. You can see what's going on. The blacks are getting, so it's sort of stretching. So the brighter sides of the image are getting brighter and the darker sides of the image are getting darker. So it's kind of like stretching the image. And if we take contrast in the opposite direction, the shadows and the brighter parts of the image are now being compressed, so the image is having less and less contrast. We now seem to be going back to where we are coming from in terms of the log image. All right, so I'm just going to reset that back to 0. In the case of the Alexa, the contrast is fine. We don't need to tamper with that too much. What we want to get rid of is this green tint that is in the image, and it's right here, like I just called it. It's a tint. You can see there's green, there's magenta. Since there seems to be some green in the image, what we now want to do is we want to take out that green. And the way you do that is that you go in the opposite direction. So if there's green in the image and you want to take the green out, you push more magenta into the image. And if there's magenta in the image and you want to take the magenta out, you push more green into the image. And a good tip in terms of color correcting like this, keep pushing it to the point that it is obvious that, oh, that's too much, and then start coming back gradually. And that's how you would usually find a sweet spot. So now I'm just going to take this dial and I'm going to start pushing it to the magenta. And oof, we are already getting too much. So I'm just going to start pulling it back a little bit more. And I think I'm just going to pack it there, right around 8. Now, I'm not sure I want to touch the temperature, but let's just see. It is a bit warm, but let us just see what it would do if we push more blue into the image. Nope, that's too much. I'm just going to dial that a bit backwards. And right about there, I think I will pack it there. And voila, we have color corrected this image. So this is where we started, and this is where we are now. Now, for you to see what we've actually done in terms of the color, even after moving to Rec 709, this was what we started with. And if I hide that, that's what we now have. You can see it's very subtle. This image had that green tint and it was a bit warm as well. And now we've corrected for that tint and we've cooled it down just a little bit, just by moving a few values here. And we have color corrected this image. Now let's move on to our Panasonic. If you like this content, please take a moment to subscribe and drop a comment. Thank you. Our Rec 709 lot definitely did something, but I think you would agree with me that the contrast could still be more, because this is where we started and this is what the lot did for us. This is what the lot did for us. Now, the more advanced you get in color correcting, the more you wouldn't touch this dial called contrast. You would actually prefer to use what we call curves, but gradually we'll get there. For now, let's just do some basic stuff. So I'm just going to take that dial. I'm just going to push more, just gradually, we're getting there. And that 100 seems to be, by the way, a tip. It doesn't end at 100. If you move, like if you take the dial, it stops at 100. But if you come here, when the cursor changes and you click and drag, you can put even more. But I think I'm just going to pack it around 110 for now. And there you go. Look at that. The contrast, we're getting there. We've applied a lot and we're still applying a little bit of contrast. So now let's see if we can do a little bit of correction as well. I'm not concerned about any tint in this image right now. Rather, I think I'm more concerned about the image being warm. So I'm just going to take the dial like we did the last time and start pushing towards the blue, and oops, that is too much, and start dialing it back gradually, and I think I can pack it right there. Don't feel like every single image that you work on needs to be perfectly balanced like this. What I mean by that is white looks like white. Ideally, you would want to have that all the time, but you might be color correcting a scene that happens in the afternoon or in the late evening in golden hour, and everywhere is a bit warm. So you might actually want to leave it like this. That might actually be what you are going for. And bam, we have color corrected our images. Now that is the scientific way, even though it's the scientific way blended with a little bit of artistic approach. What I mean by that is the scientific part about it was the fact that we use a conversion lot. So there were some proper mathematical corrections going on in terms of what the lot was doing, in terms of taking the actual log space and converting it into a Rec 709 log space. But now imagine that we don't want to use a conversion lot, or we don't even have access to one. That would be rare, but let's just say you couldn't find one and you're just trying to just color correct this thing by eye.